The summer after my freshman year was the first time that I felt really and truly on my own. I'm sure some of you had this experience. You didn't have the safety of a dorm room to go back to, or unlimited swipes at Parkside for food, all those cafeteria and living things that we enjoyed, those luxuries from freshman year. After a long freshman year, I hadn't really made my decisions yet, and coming into the last week, maybe 5 days left, I decided I'm going to take a position in LA, I'm going to work here instead of going back to the security of home and parents and all those things that we know. It was work that I would love. I'm a video game programmer, and I got to work with the Kinect, which was really new at that time, and motion capture and fun and all that good stuff. But there were a couple snags. One, I was fresh out of cash, and this job wouldn't pay me my stipend until I had almost completed the work several months later. Furthermore, I was 5 days from being kicked out of USC housing with no place to go. So what ensued would best be compiled in a series of sitcom episodes about a comfortably middle-class white boy learning what it's like to live on literally dollars a day. And the first episode would probably involve me carrying a borrowed mini fridge down fraternity row to use as my fridge and desk space for the next couple of months. Yeah, so that's what I did. I slept on floors, I worked on makeshift furniture, and I basically dined exclusively on off-brand cereals and ramen noodles, the sort of stereotypical, starving artist, starving programmer in my case. In fact, my shopping list looked a bit like this. At the beginning of the week, I would go and buy a gallon of milk, one giant box of off-brand cereal, and a 12-pack of ramen noodles for a grand total of $7.71 I would eat well into the next week. Raise your hand if you had a Chipotle burrito in the last week. I know I did. So if you got a drink with your Chipotle burrito, you paid more for one meal than I did for my groceries for a week. This was kind of different for me. This was something I hadn't experienced before. As someone who grew up in Midwestern suburbs and the stereotypical lifestyle, this was roughing it. And that's not true for a lot of people in the world, People live on a lot less, and we're blessed. I came into this with all of my belongings that I had prior, and $7.71 can get you a decent meal for a week in a modern city, but that's not the case for everyone. But I think everyone can appreciate that during the ups and downs of life, we learn a lot. And this was kind of a hardship for me. This was a bit of a downturn. And I didn't realize the significance of the experience that I was having until I was a couple months into it. I had a bit of a windfall. My friends were leaving town, and all their perishables would be left with me. So I got a particular delicacy that I really enjoyed. And one day I'm preparing that luxury that I got for free, and it kind of hits me, this question. And I'm like, Drew, what does it mean in your life when peanut butter has become a great and valuable commodity? So here we have one half of the most poorly constructed peanut butter and jelly sandwich that you will probably see for the next 10 years until your children start making their own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. No matter how much coercion you apply with the knife, that amount of peanut butter is never going to cover that slice of bread. And can we talk about the bread for a minute? Whole wheat? Really? Peanut butter and jelly is meant to be on tasty white bread, right? So as I'm sitting there pondering the life choices that got me to the point where I was at, it kind of hit me. It was like this really simple, really profound thing. There are some times in life where you will eat for pleasure, and you better enjoy that filet mignon. But there's some times in life where you'll eat for sustenance, and that's okay too. But what do we do at those times? That's the better question. Growing up, I think people kind of give us all these different solutions. Friends and family say, weather the storm, better days will come, or work hard, do whatever you can, take whatever chances you can to get out of it. And these never really sat right with me. See, it seems to me whenever people look at hardships, all they think about is what they can do when they get out of them, whatever your personal hardship is. But if I look at the people I admire in the world, the technology innovators like Steve Jobs or a Steve Wozniak, a Bill Gates or a Mark Zuckerberg. They made their impact right where they were at, right in the middle of it. All those hardships out of dorm rooms and garages and homelessness and what have you. So for this reason, I want to advocate a third path when you're in a time of life where you're eating for sustenance. And I like to call that encourage serendipity. It's not a new concept, but it's very, very important, and people don't realize it. So what is serendipity? Serendipity, as defined, is an aptitude for making desirable discoveries by accident. I chose this definition very deliberately because an aptitude means something you can get better at, something that you can work on. Now, if you ask some of my friends in the audience or around, they'll tell you I'm a very lucky guy, and I can't argue with them. But that's because I take a no-nonsense approach to getting lucky. When I need some luck, I work hard for it. And you've got to do it in different ways. So if I were to write the 5-step guide to getting lucky, step 1 would be people. And step 5 would also be people, because there are no better opportunities in life for great serendipitous events to happen than meeting people. So when I was going through this lean time in my life, if I got an extra $6, I didn't think Chipotle burrito for dinner. I thought bus fare, to a conference, to an industry mixer, anywhere where I could get myself in front of people who were just so vastly better at what they did than I was that I couldn't help but make revolutionary impacts on myself and my work and the things that I did. And this is really, really important. It was life-changing for me. So step 2 would be that learning. And step 3 and 4 I'm going to brush over because I would never make a 5-step guide that didn't tell you to do what you love and take risks. It's really important. I'll talk about those more as I get into what I did at this time. When I applied these things, this philosophy to my life, the impact, the change was revolutionary. Like I said, this became 9 months of the most creative, productive period of my life. I made games. That's what I love to do. I made all kinds of games. I put all kinds of restrictions on myself to make weird and different games. I made a game exclusively in that Wendy's over on Hoover while my laundry was drying. I made another game that I was just so passionate about. It was this tiny, addictive, silly little game where you press down to go up and you let it down. Really casual, fun games. Super addictive, right? But I have this passion for music and how it interplays with technology. And so I made the level procedurally generated by the music that was playing at the time. And lo and behold, this was my serendipitous opportunity. A couple months later, a tool came out that allowed me to take this simple web flash game and port it to Android devices, where it would be downloaded over 50,000 times by people across the world. For a game I made at 19, I was blown away, I was humbled, and this was my opportunity. This silly little game got me to South by Southwest Interactive for free, and I was able to meet with some of the top entrepreneurs and game designers in the country, which was really cool for me because since I knew what the word technology meant, I wanted to be the owner of a technology company. And somewhere along the way, I picked up this statistic that 5 out of 6 startup companies fail. And being bold and brash and ambitious as I was at the time, I thought, I better get started on those 5 so I can get to number 6. So at that time, when I had nothing to lose, I tried it. I started 3 different software companies trying to make software for phones and tablets, learning the ropes, and true to the statistic, I made $0 and 0 cents of profit over that period of time. But I learned so much. And next time I went to do it, I was prepared. I was ready. And working this hard led me to the second realization that I would encounter. And it's sort of a corollary to this first one and equal and opposite. Because there are times in life where we will work for sustenance so that we can eat. You're paying for that filet mignon. And there are times in life when you're going to work for pleasure. I had found one of those times, and I was hanging on for dear life. So what I want to encourage you guys to do is the next time that you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because that's in the budget, and it happens for us college students, I want you to think instead of how do I stop eating for sustenance, I want you to think about how do I keep working for pleasure, knowing that my passion for my work will fill my stomach. Thank you.